Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Look at this graphic come up, made by Pat the Batman fan. He is somewhere deep inside Gotham. And then I got you guys submitting stuff through patreon.com. This was submitted by Patreon supporter Tim Stack. Tim, thank you so much. I only can do the articles mainly that are through the $5 submit a topic. I have to limit that to 40 people because there's literally 450 or 500 Patreon supporters, so I can't do all the articles. But that $5 level, boom. He sent this. He's been supporting the show since day one, The Long New Deal. Now, what this goes into, and this is a long, and I'll put the link in the show notes, but this is a long study done comparing FDR's New Deal and how it can work with a Green New Deal today. And then there's another little article to show an example. So this is a very lengthy study. I'm going to just kind of touch on it. I highly suggest you read into the details of it because it's very well documented and researched, and link on they'll reference this study, and there's a hyperlink to go read that. So it's a lot of stuff. I just want to give you the broad strokes here, and I thank Tim for supporting the show and sending us. Tim sent us great stuff about fracking in Colorado and all kinds of wonderful stuff like that. And you've been supporting the show since day one, Tim. Very much appreciated. I literally can't do the show without your support, so thank you. The U.S. Green New Deal proposed to work collaboratively with farmers and ranchers in the United States to remove pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from the agricultural sector. Members of the American Farm Bureau criticized the proposal as totally unrealistic, and this is again where they reference it, the Nebraska Farm Bureau. The National Farmers Union, one of the more left-leaning of the large farm organizations, snubbed the Green New Deal for not recognizing the essential contribution of rural America. What the study is bringing up is showing that there is some disconnect between rural America, and then it goes into, and I'm going to touch on it, how to bridge that gap. Because right now, the Green New Deal is viewed as this like liberal thing, right? And Fox News calls it crazy and how we're going to pay for it. And not that everybody in rural America is a Fox News watcher, but that's a big percentage of their audience. And a lot of rural America and farmers are very red-leaning states that many of them voted for Trump to help them out. But the study is showing the disconnect, and then it's going to show how to bridge it, because we have to get over the clear-cut misinformation that is funded by the oil lobby. I've done video after video on this showing how the oil lobby funds misinformation. One of them, when this Green New Deal came out and AOC started pushing it, was one of the good things AOC has done. She's starting to slide more down the corporate slide. She wants to be buddies with Pelosi more, so we're not going to hear as much pushback from her. Disappointing. Her and the squad, not who we thought they were. But her getting the Green New Deal, many people way before her have come up with this, talked about it, independents, the Green Party itself, but her getting it in the mainstream media was actually significant, that everybody now knows what it is. And of course, Sean Hannity did a video saying she wants to outlaw milk and cows and planes or whatever, don't have all that crazy response. But there is some influence. So some red state voters, and they and some people in the rural community, they watch Fox News and they get their information there. And so rather than chastise them in the same way that the neoliberals get their lies and bullshit from MSNBC and CNN, we have to just, and this paper is is effective at how do we bridge that gap and get them, because a Green New Deal actually would absolutely help the agricultural community, because they are getting screwed over by big agro, right? By people like Monsanto. Monsanto is spending money to say, oh, Green New Deal's bad, it'll hurt the farmer, right? That's their tactic. Well, it'll hurt the farmer. Wind farms are going to hurt the farmer. That's their scare. Oh, you keep everybody scared. Farmers and others active in America's rural society movements have written enthusiastically about the Green New Deal and its possibilities for family farms. They're showing, like, the bigger organizations are like, oh, Green New Deal's bad, but a lot of individual and family farms are going, and this study was done pre-pandemic. I'd really love to know where it's at now. I bet you there's even more people in rural America going, more farmers and more small farmers, and going, wait a minute, we need this now. Because we've seen a bunch of farmers destroy eggs and milk because they had some big contract and they had to get rid of it, which is just like there's people living in the streets and we're throwing food away. That's happening right now in a pandemic. And yet grocery stores are essential businesses. About how it might spur things like rural repopulation, parity pricing models, and climate-friendly agriculture. These are key things I just want to touch on. Rural repopulation. So in this globalization world of the last 20, 30 years, people have been leaving rural areas because there's better jobs in the big cities, the tech jobs and the white collar jobs and all that stuff. So this is like people are I got a cousin who has a farm in Montana, a huge farm, and he's talking about how tough it is expensive wise. Parity pricing models. So that's a big thing. The crops and the big agro companies are, what just like Walmart does, the same way Walmart, and this is, I'm talking very generally here. So somebody who owns a farm can go into more specifics, I'm sure, if they're watching this. But just in the same way, Walmart comes in, all of its products are shipped thanks to NAFTA and other arrangements like that. They're made overseas. So Walmart comes in, they're pricing because they can, get 100,000 units made at 50 cents a piece. They can undercut the small business owner, the mom and pop store that can only afford to buy 500 units at, $2 a piece. I'm just picking round numbers. So that's how Walmart has just systematically wiped out. Amazon is doing the same thing. Well, the big farm, it's doing the same thing. They come up, they buy, a 10,000 acre plot of land, and they make this, soybeans or whatever to sell on a mass scale. And the small farmer that only has, 50 or 100 acres of land is getting squeezed out. What a Green New Deal would do is parity pricing models to help the small farmer. And this is the thing, part of a real Green New Deal, and again, just Green New Deal, we got to be careful. It can just be co-opted by the Democrats, the Pelosi's and the Schumers and everyone else that I don't trust anymore, even Bernie, Tulsi and the squad, I don't trust them anymore. So just like, I'm a progressive, Kamala Harris is a progressive. Oh, when you're jailing black men for smoking a plant, that's when you're being progressive. So we got to be careful again. Green New Deal, what does that mean? Liz Warren's greening up the military. Oh, awesome. Rockets powered by biodiesel. People in the Middle East will love that. Or a real Green New Deal, like Bernie had before he just gave up and quit. And climate-friendly agriculture. Now is the opportunity. Especially, look, a year ago, the Midwest was flooded and we lost a lot of crops. That's an opportunity. And then what's happening now with the pandemic and how it's affecting farmers to go, hey, we really need a Green New Deal. We need stuff made here. We need pricing parity so the small farm doesn't get muscled out by the big corporate farm. So this is what they're talking about. There's these writings talking about how to present this stuff. Might spur things, rural repopulation, parity pricing, climate-friendly agriculture. Were these writings to be presented in meetings and discussions around the Green New Deal in rural America, it might well be the case that an increasing number of farmers might see their interests aligned with the policy. Right now, it's presented to them as just the liberal thing. These people in big cities, they don't understand what the farmer goes through, so I don't want to hear it. But this needs to be presented like this is how it can help you. There's farmers that have put up wind turbines that have actually helped their business. So this is how you spell it out. You get people within the farming community, within the industry, to say, no, here's how a Green New Deal helps all of us. It helps the small farmer. And that's a big part of what the New Deal helped workers. And I'm going to get into that in a second. The Green New Deal would help workers, including farmers, right? The New Deal's victories were achieved not because the nation united behind them, but because the nation was profoundly divided. This is one of the parallels. So you got to remember, when FDR passed the New Deal, this country was divided. We were in the middle of the Great Depression. People were blaming, there was labor riots and strikes, and there was the haves and the have-nots. Sound familiar? There was the big capitalists, the big robber barons, you know, the Rockefellers and those people, right? Everyone was mad at Hoover. They called tent cities and shanty towns back then, they called them Hooverville. The New Deal sat at the conjuncture of global financial and ecological crisis and class struggle. Exactly what we're going through right now. Right? We're seeing that. Low-income neighborhoods not getting as much testing. COVID is spreading worse. They're not getting as good of health care because we have a for-profit healthcare system. You're a rich celebrity athlete. Boy, you got tested immediately. You got great service. You got a ventilator. You boom, boom, boom. The rich neighborhoods, drive-through testing. The poor neighborhoods, thoughts and prayers. Same thing was happening. They weren't dealing with a pandemic, but they had just actually come off of one, the 1918 Spanish flu, where 50 million people died worldwide. That was 10 years. They were only 10 years after what the stock market crash was 29. So it's 2018 or 1918 and 1929. That's the time for, you're talking about 10. That's not a long time. So we are in the middle of a pandemic and an economic crash. We are ramping into a giant depression. I've talked about this before on this show. 60% of the population didn't have $500,000 in savings before the pandemic. There was a housing bubble before the pandemic. There was a car loan bubble before the pandemic. Student loan bubble before the pandemic. And now people, May 1st is right around the corner, so there's going to be now a second month of people not working, not being able to pay their bills, not being able to pay rent, falling behind on car payments and mortgages and this and that and everything else. And you're told you can't work. In the late 20s and 30s, that's when the labor movement really got steam. We're seeing this now. And class struggle, the New Deal and class struggle. Interest in a Green New Deal offers a chance to revisit the history of the original New Deal, and in particular, the tactics and strategies around counter-hegemonic militancy. Labor militancy in the U.S. is on the upswing. In 1918, there were 20 major strikes involving 485,000 workers. We've talked about it on the show. A lot of those were teachers' unions, right? This paper was done pre-pandemic. This number has got to be higher just in the last month. Amazon's gone on strike. All the fast food workers, grocery workers, there's strikes all over the country happening right now. People saying, I'm not going to risk myself for minimum wage to get COVID and die. You can't even give me gloves and a mask, and you're not giving me hazard pay. I'm not getting you. Now is the time. The American worker, now is the time to unionize. The American worker has never, the last time American workers had this much leverage was back then. In 1919, this is 10 years before the stock market crash, right after Spanish flu had happened, just to give you some context. So we're what, 10 years after the last recession? We're in the middle of another one that's only going to get worse. The U.S. saw 3,630 strikes involving 4,160 workers, about 4% of the country's total population. This number is about what is that percentage? We have 330 million people? It's like 0.4% or something of the population? I don't even know what that is. This is in 1919. Before the stock market crash. Do you see what I'm talking about here? Do you see how we are actually while this is awful and scary for everybody, this is the opportunity here. And history is showing us what to do. So now is the time for unionizing anywhere. You work in a grocery store, get involved in a union. You're a fast food worker, get a union. You drive for Grubhub, get a union. Either find one that's pre-existing and they're probably already out there, or start your own. But find a pre-existing union if it exists and get in there. I don't know. Is it the taxi cab union? I don't know what it is. I know there's grocery store unions that are in certain states. Get unionized. Unionize Amazon. Imagine if Amazon and McDonald's, every Amazon and McDonald's worker went on strike until there was a union. America would back that. America now would back that because everyone is in the same, well, I don't want to say same boat. Everyone's in the same storm. Because some people have big, nice yachts with, they might be in the same storm, but they're in a yacht with an open freezer where they can get, access to $200 worth of ice cream. Or they can be in, like the way The Rock has an in-home gym that's bigger than my apartment complex. And then there's some of us in rafts that are doing on boats or doing okay, a little 20-foot skiff or something. Some of us are in fucking clinging for dear life onto a volleyball that we painted a face on and we're calling it Wilson because that's the only friend we've got. So now is the time. Now is the time. I'm telling you, you work at any of these places, organize a union. Start doing the research. Because America, we're all seeing this. We're all like, wow, these frontline workers are, because sometimes people strike and they're like, oh, these people are, we've all been propagandized to celebrate billionaires and big corporations and celebrities and all that stuff that we used to look down on the worker in America. Now we're, well, shit, man. You're bagging groceries at, $10 an hour and you're putting your life, thank you. You're making food, thank you. Everyone's like, so now's the time. So if everyone said I'm going on strike, everyone would get your back. And if someone was outspoken, some jackass in the media went, they shouldn't be striking, they'll get shouted down really quickly. Now is the time. And there's other little ways too. Again, this article was part of the submission by Tim Stack. Amid the coronavirus crisis, mutual aid networks erupt across the country. So I'm talking about we got to get creative. We got to circumvent this awful, brutal capitalist system. Unionize within it, general strikes, right? And then this kind of stuff. As the government response to the pandemic falters, that's a kind word, falters. No, we're all being told, sorry, eat it. The federal government's just going, not my fault. I haven't got my $1,200 yet. I got turned down for unemployment insurance and turned down for the small business loan. Thanks. That's why I'm going live 6 nights a week, because I can't wait for them to take care of me. I just got to stay in my apartment and make videos, because if I get COVID, I'll go to I have Obamacare, but it sucks. If I was hospitalized for 2 weeks, I'd have a $10,000, $20,000 hospital bill. Oh yeah, the CARES Act is going to pay. No, it's not. That's what they said about my house and they stole it. So I don't believe. And Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, the Republicans, the Democrats, they're all parasites and liars. I'll never vote for either of those two parties ever again. Anyway, as the government response to pandemic falters, mutual aid projects, a staple of social movements for decades, are rising up to meet people's basic needs. This was March 27th. So that's part of a strike. Well, if I go on strike, I'm not getting paid. And if I'm not even part of a union, there's not even like strike pay. So what do? Well, organizations like this. Let me tell you something. If every McDonald's worker went on strike, I'd go down there and give them food. I would. I'd go down there and give them food. I'd show up and give them food. Go, here's some food for everybody. Here's some canned food, whatever. I'd give you some food. We recognized that we couldn't rely on our current system in place and needed to take care of each other directly, said Janelle Walter of the Tacoma Mutual Aid Collective. This is about what they were doing in Tacoma, Washington. Start a collective like this where you live. We got to look out for each other. The government doesn't give a shit about us. They gave $4.25 trillion to banks. They care about the banks. Oh, thank God someone's got the banks back. Boy, if those billionaires on Wall Street, boy, I feel so bad for them. Man. Especially the ones that are friends with Jeffrey Epstein, like Bloomberg. Boy, they're good people. You're friends with a billionaire, sex trafficking pedophile. Boy, you're solid. You need a government bailout for sure. The Tacoma Mutual Aid Collective formed quickly. They just formed it from people who wanted to create a strong system for supporting those most affected. Mutual aid is the idea that humans should help humans, even and especially outside any market forces, said Brett O'Shea of the Nebraska Left Coalition, another organization. Unionize, demand, don't concede, and start your own collectives taking care of each other. Because you want to know what? Capitalism is showing us in real time that it is mean and cruel, and it literally kills people. There's people protesting to go to work because they need money so bad. I don't agree with them, and I think they've just been so propagandized by the corporate machine that they don't realize how badly they're being used. Something is wrong with the economic system of our nation. Something is wrong with capitalism. We don't hear this speech a lot from Dr. King, do we? Maybe America must move toward a democratic socialism. We must develop programs that will drive the nation to the realization of the need for a guaranteed annual income. Dr. King, September 14th, 1966. A little less than 2 years later, he was assassinated. Is Cuomo reading this quote on MSNBC? Has Anderson Cooper read this quote yet? I don't know, did Whoopi Goldberg read this on The View? Gee, I haven't heard them. Did Joy-Ann Reid ever read this? I haven't heard them read it over there. Does the one black person that's on Fox? Oh wait, they don't have any black people on it. I'm reading it. I'm the political vigilante. That's why you get your news here, because I'm not a filthy corporate liar. I'm supported by you, the viewers. I'm not supported by Amazon. I'm not supported by Raytheon. I'm not supported by Shell Oil. I'm not supported by McDonald's or Coca-Cola. None of them buy ad time with me. Verizon, they don't buy ad time. Ford, they don't buy ad time. The ads that play on YouTube ahead of mine, I get a little clickable income from that, but they can't tell me what I can and cannot say. So when you let those ads play, you're letting those big corporations pay me. It's kind of a nice little Robin Hood, isn't it? Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Hey everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/GrahamElwood or rockfin.com/GrahamElwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.